What is the status of sporting infrastructure in East Africa with particular reference to athletics? Is it something that Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania can be proud about? Hello and welcome to Setting the Pace here on Zuku Sports. My name is Sadiq Shaban. We will be looking at that in great detail. Plus, we'll get to also speak to the Sports Minister of the Republic of Kenya about the government of Kenya's ambitious plan to build 5 new stadia by 2019. Plus,
most people don't know me that I'm a police officer.
You need to stand by for that and much more. This is Setting the Pace. The new athletics season has already begun, and with it comes great news from the world of athletics. Kennedy Mungara and Wilfrida Kwamboka won the 2013 Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon. Mungara won in a time of 2:11:40 to win $18,000 ahead of Osea Korir in 2:12:05 and Barnabas Kipyego in 2:14:07. Kwamboka won the women's race in 2:33:18 ahead of Florence Chepsoi in 2:33:56 and Agnes Tisserek in 2:39:17. Over 21,000 runners took part in the event held on the streets of Nairobi. Vincent Kipruto led a Kenyan sweep of the top 5 at the 2013 Frankfurt Marathon in Germany. Kipruto edged Mark Kiptop by 1 second to finish in 2:06:16, while Elijah Kemboi was third in 2:07:34, followed by Jacob Cheserai and Albert Matebor. Kilel gave Kenya success in the women's race when the 2010 winner finished in 2:22:35 ahead of compatriot Flomena Chepchirchir and Birhane Adeba of Ethiopia. It was the 12th consecutive time that the Frankfurt Marathon was won by a Kenyan. Elsewhere, 728 days since the last marathon in New York, thanks to last year's hurricane, Olympic and World Marathon champion Stephen Kiprotich of Uganda will be among thousands of runners eyeing the prize money.
You know, always what I am after whenever I go for a competition, my target always is to finish the race. And if I finish number 1, that one will be well and good. But my aim is to go and finish the competition.
Kiprotich will battle it out with New York and Boston course record holder Geoffrey Mutai, who is also the reigning New York champion from 2011, as well as London Marathon champion Segai Kabede of Ethiopia. Another Kenyan, Martin Lel, makes a return after an injury spell. World Marathon champion Edna Kiplagat from Kenya will be seeking a double when she runs in the women's race. My guests in the studio have had a first-hand experience touring Kenya and seeing the state of facilities, not just in Kenya, but in Uganda as well and across the region. And I'm now joined in studio by Celestine Karone. And here's a man that I know he hasn't forgotten his Brazilian experience, and Njoroge Githinji, sports journalist. Welcome to Setting the Pace.
Thank you so much, Sadiq. It's nice to see you.
Oh, quite a lot of things I would imagine, Njoroge, you also bring here in our discussion, considering you've had a tremendous opportunity to travel across the country. Let me start with you. Even as the government looks to construct 5 new stadiums, quite ambitious, many people would say. But what is the current status of the facilities, which I know you have reported on quite severally?
It's appalling because if you look at the stadia that we have in the country so far, there are so many, but they are only used when there is football. They cannot be used for other facilities. They cannot be used for other disciplines. If you look at the main stadiums that we have in Kenya, we have Kasarani, Nyayo, and City Stadium. These are not enough to cater for all the talent that we have.
Celestine, you just came back from Kampala, and you've been to Uganda and Tanzania on a number of occasions. How do we compare?
I think when it comes to East Africa, we actually look better. Yet, we have no infrastructure, if I may say that. You know, because look at Uganda. I mean, they just have that one Mandela Stadium.
Yeah.
Is the major stadium that they use to host, be it World Cup qualifiers, be it African qualifiers for football. And then when the team wants a tartan track to sort of run around and to train for a major world championship. You're looking, but Tanzania, and Rwanda in East Africa are improving. They are looking forward. They have put in some money into development of stadia, and that is very crucial for them. While Kenya of course does look good because you're looking at Nairobi where we have 2 stadia, but that is where the story ends.
I happen to come from Kiambu. There is a stadium called Kirigiti Stadium. It's one of the oldest stadium in the area. But what much has it helped the youth of the area? Nothing. Because it's not even marked well where athletes can come and run. It is not even marked well. There are no goalposts. It has been encroached. And you can tell that it has not been used to the right, the reason as to why it is there in the first place.
I think it's the same story from what Celestine was saying really across Africa. And even with that, it's amazing that we look better, even with the description that you're given.
I mean, definitely, when you go to North Rift, home of champions, you're talking about home where, you know, world record holders come from. And yet you find a stadium that has become a grazing pitch for cattle. I mean, you actually, I mean, I went to Kapsabet. I mean, you've been there. And this is somewhere, you know, people like the London Marathon champion of 2013, Priska Cheptokol's home. But you go to the pitch and you find cows, sheep, cattle are grazing. And this is what we are calling stadia. And I think this is just sad, Shaban.
Let's hear what the Sports Minister of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. Haile Hassan Wario, has to say. He speaks exclusive to setting the pace.
We look at transforming the infrastructure of sports. And for now, you remember it was built up to All Africa Games in the 80s that we ended up with Kasarani. It is a bit tired with all the refurbishments and so on and so forth. There's a lot of pressure on Kasarani as a facility. Then there's Nyayo, which is smaller and even has bigger kind of challenges in terms of you have football games, there are different games going on there, you have the military parades. If you go to Iten, up near Eldoret, you'll see different athletes running there, from Mo Farah to Rudishas to all the great athletes of Kenya. But the facility is not there. It's not adequate. It doesn't represent the country of the great athletes, great champions. And we've just come from Moscow. And I know what I'm saying. We were number 4 in the world out of 35. So we want to put up a facility up, say, in Eldoret for high altitude. But also there's a suggestion of putting up another facility in Mombasa for low altitude. Then you come to areas that have been forgotten. If you look at Mo Farah, he's ethnically Somali. So it means people from northern Kenya can be like him, given the facilities. So probably throw something in northern Kenya, one stadium there. And then there are areas with huge potential, which are not very far from Nairobi. In fact, which can at times support games in Nairobi, like Nakuru. We want to also have another stadium there. So we need to extend the infrastructure if we want to extend the opportunities which are inherent in sports. So I think that was why the vision was to build 5 middle-sized kind of stadia spread throughout the country. We want to finish Kipchoge, and I've told my team I want that finished like yesterday. It's not worth the name. Kipchoge Keino is a great athlete. I think somewhere along the way we slept on the job. I think, to be honest, to this government, we're only about 5 months, 6 months old. We have identified the problems. There's work going on also in Mombasa, the Mombasa Stadium. But somehow, let me just put a line under it. Somehow you will be flogging a dead horse. Some of these stadia are just too old, too congested. If you look at issues of security, they're in very insecure locations. The old stadium in Pakistan in Mombasa is surrounded by houses. It's inaccessible. Modern stadium is not just for kicking football or for running. It also should have various other elements like a cafeteria, a shopping outlet, and so on and so forth. So I think the idea of building new ones at a time when Kenya is 50 years old is very futuristic, and it's very doable, and it's very important.
The Cabinet Secretary, Sports and Culture, Republic of Kenya, just seem to be making reference to what you're saying. But Celestine, from your travels abroad, and you've been to Moscow, you went to London 2012, and you've been to Japan severally. How far is East Africa from at least reaching half of the status and standards of facilities that are currently abroad?
I think we haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg right here. And let us not go to Europe. Let us not look at Asia. Let us look at African countries like South Africa. I mean, South Africa, for you to even to say we have a football club, a football club. The football club must have a clubhouse. The clubhouse must have running water, which is hot. You must have a pitch, a standard football pitch where you can host matches. And you see, these are the small things that you must certify for you to be given that certificate and say, I have a football club. So what they did is that they started with everybody who wants to come into the sports sector and said, these are the standards. You know, and all the countries right now that are building stadium, you have people like in Ndola, the big stadium for Zambia. This is a stadium that is state of the art. You look at it and you're like, it's not even a half what Kasarani is, you know.
Are we in Europe? You're like,
exactly.
Are we in Europe?
Thank you very much.
Right.
So I think what is happening is that African countries have already started making those steps to getting the kind of stadium that we need. Kenya, I'm sorry, is dragging its feet, yet they have the capacity.
Beyond the political campaign pledges, which may sound populist, which may sound appropriate at the campaign time, Njoroge, we have seen those promises, political promises, coming and going, yet the condition still remains worse, if not even worse, after most of our stadium are now used for political rallies and you know, like for example, Nyayo Stadium, the tartan track is used by the Kenya Armed Forces when they're doing the national celebrations, and many people contend that is not a proper way to use such a sports facility.
Let's look at from where we are coming from. 2008, the Kibaki government is promised to improve the stadium of Kipchoge Keino Stadium. See, up to today, that's how many years? Nothing has been done. If there is, it's little. But also the stadium, what are they doing to make sure that they are self-sustaining, not to actually rely on the government of the day? For example, a stadium that has got a very good spa club, it has a good gym, it has good facilities. I can take my kid there and pay, and that facility will be able to maintain itself, and for that upcoming athlete who doesn't have time will use my money that I pay to improve his talent. But the members of let's say the people who live in those areas, what are they doing? The government, now we are in the devolved government.
Right.
What are the county governments doing to improve? Because every province, if you look at all the counties in the provinces, they have at least a stadium. And what is it doing? It's lying there idle, and it has been encroached, and people even building inside the premises.
A good example is what you have mentioned, Ringo Stadium in central Kenya. And here's a man that has left his own country in Uganda because he says, I have nothing in Uganda that really compares to what Kenya has in terms of infrastructure. And at the moment, he is one of the biggest names, having come from virtually nowhere before the London 2012 Olympic Games. He went on to win that gold medal in London during the Olympics and surprised many by winning a double in Moscow during the World Championships in athletics. Our guest today is Stephen Kiprotich, the double record holder in marathon and the World Championships.
When I was young, I was dreaming that one time I want to become a legend, of which I've already acquired, and I need to go for more mileage. And people in Uganda now, everybody knows me, and people love sports. Like it used to be before, when you go to Nambole, we used not have a big number in the track, but when they heard that I'm coming, then all the people come and support sports. When I was in primary 4, we were using to have our school athletics. We had a teacher who used to asked me that when Akibwa won a gold medal in 1972, that he came, he was given a vehicle. Whenever he put the hazards, it shows Akibwa, and then that thing remained in my mind. I say, okay, one time I have to do it. So my zigzag was just my tactics. It was just a tactics which came into my mind. I've never even thought of doing it, but I did it for that moment. And I was happy that I did it, and I went through. Yeah, coming back home, people were calling me Mr. Zigzagger. Hey, I said, hey, what's wrong with these people? They told me that what you did in Moscow was really wonderful. After 40 kilometers, you are still doing a zigzag. That one showed me that maybe with the time, It is like I'm starting. It's like my running is starting. I've not even reached the peak. I'm still just the low level. When the colonists came to East Africa, and then they divided East Africa into three. So the land is the same, but only the boundaries. So we the Kalenjin, some of us will remain in Uganda, then other ones remain on this other side. So the name Kiprotich is a Kalenjin name. When I was watching Berlin Marathon, the first record, the Kenyan record holder was Paul Tergat. He broke like 10 years ago. His record lasted for something like 4 or 5 years. Then they broke again by Haile Gebrselassie 2007. Then that record again lasted like for 4 years. Then again it was broken by Macau. Now for Macau's record lasted for 3 years. Now again it's broken. Then I think this record is going to be broken at every time. It will reach a day they will break like someone may break like today, another one breaks like tomorrow. Because if you see the graph is going down, from up down, showing that this record can be broken, but not by me, but in the future I may try. But where they are putting the record, it will be more difficult for someone to break. Kipsang, it deserves the world record because even earlier on he has run near the world record. So when he came back from Olympics and said he wants to set a new world record, for me I did not argue because I know he's strong and he's capable of running world record. So when he was running, I was watching as well. The extent that even I was sweating when he was watching shows me that I was running also here. When he won the world record, for me I was very happy because he's a strong man, somebody who is very strong and he's always focused. So it deserves, I say it deserves that record. In Uganda, they refer me second. I don't know. After Olympics, after 1972, they told me that you are the second man to bring gold to Uganda. Now, this year, they told me you are the second person to bring again another gold after Dorcas in school. In the history of sports, they told me again that you are a second man to repeat what someone did sometime back from, was it they told me that 1986 or around there, that someone ran Olympics and then he ran again World Championship and he won. So I've seen this number is common in my, it's common with me because everything is second. I don't know what next will be, and I'm happy about it.
Stephen Kiprotich says is called number 2. He is the second Ugandan to win an Olympic gold medals after Akibua, and he is the second Ugandan to win a world championship medal after Dorcas Nzikuru. So he calls himself Mr. Number 2. And he says Uganda also to Kenya is sort of number 2 in terms of where they rate themselves in infrastructure. But he says with his athletics prowess, he hopes good things will come to Uganda. We have had athletes all through years, including the story of Shaheen Sharif Said way back in 2003 when he defected to Qatar, and there were promises from the government then that in exchange we are going to build a facility. It is something 10 years later we're still waiting for.
It is very sad, Shabana, that politics would have stopped us to get a world-class stadium in the home of champions. Because from what we know, I mean, we are journalists and we cover this story through, and we heard that it was certain factions coming at loggerheads, some saying, no, let us not take it from, Shaheen's home, which is around the 10. Let's take it away from there. Let's bring it closer to Eldoret. And
many years, Celestine, and you were speaking about this, Cameroon has remained the same way it has.
Exactly, Cameroon has remained the same way, yet you still see athletes flocking there. Every day you go there at 10 o'clock, and Shaban, you can tell me, they don't even have space sometimes just to, everybody has to draw them for themselves a line to follow on that track, that Maram track, just to point out. So it is very sad that our leaders did not in the past, let me put it like that, did not see the importance of investing heavily in sport, especially in areas such as the 10. And that is what we are hoping, like he says, will improve with the devolved governments.
Cutting away politics from policy, which many people, and Celestine has mentioned this, are we likely to see a situation where policy will work for East Africa and not politics, as it were, making promises which at the end of the day, nothing really comes to fruition.
Yeah, it is very sad that, like in our country, Kenya, much of the decisions that affect us are politicized. It's the politics of the day that dictate what happens to even that upcoming athlete. What do the government of the day think of you as an athlete? They give you the time. If you look at what is discussed in parliaments, you'll find that sports is taking a backseat.
If political goodwill is put in place, then it can transform into good policy.
Yes, I mean, after all, these are leaders we have elected. These are leaders the people have entrusted in shaping the policy and the politics pushed together. They work hand in hand, like you said. What we are saying is we want to see leaders who purpose to turn policy into action, to change, to avoid what we normally call divisive politics and the kind of politics that are retrogressive.
Njoroge Githinji, if you are an athlete, what sport would you take part in?
I would want to do football, or even if it's the other side of athletics, I would want to walk.
You'd be a Russian.
No, yeah, I would want to beat that record of 20 kilometers.
Celestine, what race would you be taking part in?
Sadiq, I don't know.
If you're probably a field or a track athlete, which race or what activity would you be taking part in?
5,000, 10,000. If I was to pick, I would pick long distance. Maybe because I come from the region.
Don't ask me which race I'll be taking part because I really am yet to figure it out. But here's a man that many people say if you want to sort of greet him, you have to do it backwards. Julius Yego.
My favorite food is ugali. My favorite holiday destination now is Eldoret. I think it was like 125,000 Kenya money, that is in 2009 when I went to Nigeria Grand Prix, my first competition outside Kenya. The most expensive thing I have now is my car. My first date out was, it was a nice one. My first car is a premium. It cost me like $10,000. I'm a police officer.
Mr. YouTube A, as is famously known because he's a Mr. YouTube A, the freshly minted African javelin champion Alexander Kiprotich. Njoroge Githinji, thank you very much indeed for coming to set in the pace. But just before you leave, in just quick words, do you envisage that by 2019 we'll have new 5 stadium facilities in Kenya?
Well, the government has spelled out very, very serious plans to have 5 stadiums. They had even tried to pick out where the same would happen. But like I say, with the current political situation, it's only a matter of wait and see. But if it ever happens, then it's just for the right direction.
He spoke of infrastructure. Equipment also come hand in hand. So is that a point that should be in mind as a procurer for this new infrastructure?
Yes, as you're building your stadium, you have to think, if I'm going to have pole vault, people competing in pole vault, they will not come and jump with sticks. They will need the right equipment. So yes, as they keep this ambitious plan of five world-class stadium, if we may call it that, then they must realize that this stadium must come with the right equipment so that Kenya can excel in all aspects of sport.
Celestine Karone and Njoroge Githinji, thank you both for coming to set your pace. So, what are members of the public thinking about this current status of our sports infrastructure?
Kiwanja yetu hapa Eldoret sio mzuri. Tangu hii mchezo ya mpira iliisha, naye hata viwanja ikaisha. So, hatuna kiwanja kwanza. Kiwanja imekuwa kama shamba.
Considering these athletes need to have, let's say, big fields or fields that are at par with where they go to compete, our country is still not yet there.
Viwanja ziko mbaya kabisa. Kuna siku walijaribu kurekebisha hiyo kiwanja 64 Stadium, lakini hatujui vile ilienda. Ndio tena wakarudi Kipchoge. Kipchoge walianza kutengeneza, tena hiyo maneno ikaisha hivyo. So hatujui nini inaendelea.
What is Usain Bolt's 200 meters world record that he set in 2009 in Berlin is the question I asked in the last installment of Setting the Pace. Did you say 19.19 seconds? Then congratulations, you are the winner of that particular trivia. And this week, I'm asking you, who is Kenya's 100 meters national champion and what is his time? Tweet us at Zuku Sports or tweet me at Sadiq Shaban, and I'll be able to announce the winner of this particular trivia question. What is the status of the sporting facilities in your area? Please take a photo of it and tag us at Zuku Sports or at Sadiq Shaban, and we'll be able to learn more from you. Thank you very much indeed for watching this episode of Setting the Pace. On behalf of the great team here at Zuku Sports, my name is Sadiq Shaban. Goodbye for now.